What's up, YouTube? You checking out the Frequent Flyer, and this is my quick review of the JXD Pterosaurus. And this is the craft here. As you can see, the box came pretty badly beat up, but the aircraft was okay. But now look at this thing's face. I'm very upset about the way this face on this thing looks, and it was an accident on my part. And so if you guys have been watching my channel, you probably saw this thing in one of the videos I had, and it was flying very bad outdoors. It wasn't coping well with the wind, or even when the wind wasn't blowing, this thing was falling backwards and stuff. When I put it on high rates, it wasn't flying very well. And so I was very determined to get this thing flying good, because it just looks so awesome in the air, and just looking at it as a specimen, it just looks so awesome. And I found that the center of gravity on this thing is a little off. It's a little rear heavy. And so the battery actually slides in the bottom here. The battery bay is here. And so the battery slides in like that, but it sticks out a little. And so that makes the battery, the center of gravity is towards the end here, because the battery only goes in that far. And so it tends to, when you're flying fast, these front motors are working harder than the rear motors. And so, well, actually the rear motors are working harder than the front motors. And so when you're flying forward and then you slow down, or sometimes it just does it on its own, the accelerometer tries to level it, it'll flip backwards, because of when it's trying to slow down, the weight on the back just causes it to fly all the way backwards and fall to the ground and flip over even. And so I found that when I use this battery here, it is a 7.4 volt battery, and in here, so when I use this battery, and what I did was I actually used double-sided mounting tape to mount it here, about here, and where center should be. And this thing flies awesome like that. It actually flies well indoors too, better than outdoors. But well, in its normal configuration with the stock battery leaning towards the back, it flies better indoors without wind or anything. But if you go to high rates and start flying fast, it does that again. It starts to flip back and fall to the ground. But with this battery, double-sided mounting tape here, it flies awesome. No problems whatsoever. This thing cruises around, it banks turns, it just looks so awesome. And so I was trying to figure out a way that I can get this thing to be balanced out. And so this head here comes apart, and so I did try putting some weight in here. I actually dropped one of those little screwdrivers that we usually get with these RCs. I dropped one of those inside the head, closed it back up, and flew it around, and it flew a little better, but it wasn't enough weight, not as much as this battery. Shifted to the front a little. So I got the swell idea to actually fill this guy's head with some hot glue. And yes, you can pretty much imagine what happened and see what happened. Actually, I start putting hot glue inside this thing, and it just started melting. So the face just melted all up. But for the most part, it still flies, and it gives him this sinister look now. But I really am disappointed by the way it looks now. I think I'm going to get another one just to have, because this thing is just so awesome. The way it looks when it's flying is just priceless, man. I haven't seen an aircraft as unique as this in a while, in its design and its look anyhow. This thing just looks awesome. My kids love it. My son wants to fly it all the time. He's getting it when I'm not around, and I'm so afraid that he's going to break this thing. I think I'm going to get him one, and I'm probably going to get another for myself, or maybe I'll just let him have this one. He don't mind about the face. But anyhow, this thing doesn't do any flips. No flips with this one. It is 7.4 volts on the power system. Let's look at the battery. The battery is a 400 milliamp 2C discharge rate, 7.4 volt battery, and it's long here. You really can't fit any other battery in there because of this size, unless you can find them like this. I haven't really looked online or anything, but me personally, I don't have any batteries that are 7.4 volts that are this size and shape. This is the closest I got, and this comes from the DM007. And so, really cool looking aircraft. I was unable to bind this to anything except for the X-Drone Nano from 4D Copter. Has the same protocol as this thing, as well as the JXD UFO. That's the aircraft with the rings around it that glows really nice. Those are on the same protocol as this. No deviation. I'm very disappointed about that. But this thing is still worth having just for the novelty of the way it looks. So it does have 3 rates on it. And there is a headless mode, surprisingly, but no flips. And I'm guessing because of the instability, they probably knew that this thing, more than likely they knew how this thing flies, and that the center of gravity was off a little, so they didn't implement any flipping into this. And you can fly it with the other transmitters, and it still doesn't flip if you push the flip button on those. It does have lights, but not enough for night flying. Lights are inside the middle of the body here, and it's just a blue light, really not for orientation or anything like that. I guess just to let you know that this thing has been powered or whatnot. But pretty interesting little aircraft here, and I like it. I really like the way this thing looks, and I like the way it flies when you use this little battery here and you move it towards the middle for a better center of gravity on this thing. It flies awesome, man. And I really was surprised that it would fly awesome with this configuration here with the motors. And another thing is these 3-bladed props. I don't know why these companies keep using 3-bladed props, where these things don't last as long as the 2-bladed props. You get longer flight times with it. So the flight time with this is pretty short. You get about close to 4 minutes of flight time with it. And I think you would get probably almost double if you were to somehow get some 2-bladed props on here. But these circles here, they're enclosed in these circles here, which make it very hard to get some traditional Hudson style props in there. You will have to cut them. I haven't tried it yet. It might work, being that these motors are 8.5 millimeters, and it's a 7.4 volt system. So the motors are pretty powerful, and I guess they needed that because of the 3-bladed prop configuration here. But it would be a lot better with just 2-bladed props, I think. And so this is the transmitter here. It takes 4 AAA batteries. It does come with a screw in there, but you can remove it and still close the battery compartment and have it locked, well, snap shut. Anyhow, the sticks are not bad at all. I like the way the sticks feel and all. Not too much of a dead spot near the middle when you're flying it too. So pretty awesome. One thing to note is this on and off switch. It's a little tricky because you just press it one time and it turns the transmitter on. But to turn it off, you can't just hit it one time. And I killed my batteries that way because I tapped it and thought that I turned it off, and I came back down later on at night and it was beeping. The batteries were drained. This thing, you have to hold this power button down in order for the power of this transmitter to go off. So this button here is for the rates. This is the flip button here, and you do have trim buttons, but this here is 1 key return and headless mode here. The top button is headless mode, and the bottom button is 1 key return, and that works just about as any other one of these toy aircrafts work without a compass or GPS. So it does come with an instructions manual here. So it does have a diagram for parts and all. Pretty legible here, as you can see. So pretty detailed with this instructions manual here. It comes with an extra set of spare props, and it comes with a USB charging balancer for the for the 2S LiPo. And the spare props, I don't know, they must have fallen out, but it does come with an extra set of spare props in there. But that's it, the JXD Pterosaurus. Thanks for watching.